I want you to imagine a beautiful library full of books and someone comes along to borrow one. And I also want you to imagine that this library does a very unusual thing, which is that whenever somebody borrows a book, the library deletes from its database all record of that book. So that means that while the book is out on loan, you're not able to find out any information about it. You can't find out the name of the book, the person that authored it, their name, the year of publication, or even if the library has ever held a copy of the book in its databases. It's only when the borrower returns the book that the library restores the catalogue entry and everyone can find out all about it. Obviously, libraries don't do that. That would be a ridiculous thing for them to do, but this is exactly what job adverts do. So a job advert is available out in the wild for between 4 and 6 weeks, and then when the vacancy closes, it's gone. You can't find any information about it. And that's what I want to talk about in this presentation. What normally happens is that once a job vacancy closes, the job pack is deleted because it served its primary function, which is to support the organisation and the successful applicant in filling that role. But I think that job adverts can have a useful secondary function. Any given job advert gives lots of useful information, even if the advert is closed. Firstly, it tells you about the skills and experience that somebody would need in order to do that job if that job were to become available again in future. And so I think that information could be useful to someone who might be thinking about what they need to do now in order to get themselves ready in terms of gathering skills and experience for their next job and their next but one job. I've built a database basically to help people do exactly that. I have a database of around 130 job packs, and the examples here, 80 or so companies, all of whom employ computer scientists in one form or another. And I've highlighted the charity sector in yellow and government and local council in blue. So for each job pack, I've trapped a copy of the job description and person specification. And that means that anyone, school kids, careers advisors, university students, job seekers, parents, anybody interested in careers in computer science, can view examples of real jobs even though they've closed, and see examples of the different types of jobs and sectors that are available. I mentioned that one job gives you the skills and experience that you need to do that job, and obviously more examples of them give you more examples of skills and experience you need to do all sorts of different jobs. But I think there's a secondary effect to having a whole load, like a big bulk of different job packs, and it allows you to see an overview of the different sectors that are involved in employing computer scientists. I gave this talk to colleagues in a computer science department at university, so they probably know this already, but I think it's quite useful for undergraduates and school children and perhaps careers advisors to see at a glance the different sectors that employ computer scientists, while acknowledging the fact that pretty much all sectors employ computer scientists. But I think it's handy to see it, and it could spark inspiration for someone who might not have considered that their interest in computer science could be directed towards a particular path or career. And of course it shows you all the different types of roles that are available, from the obviously computing/programming type ones to what we might call the more computing adjacent ones, such as my own job. I write about computer science, I don't actually do any programming. And then you have all the interdisciplinary roles as well. For example, things like computational chemist, could be computational biologist or computational anything, and research software engineers. And I mentioned it earlier in this presentation, or rather I displayed on screen, a role that finishes on the 25th of May for a research software engineer in the Barts Cancer Institute at Queen Mary University of London. And if you're watching this video after the 25th, you can view the copy of the job description and the person specification in the link below the video. So having a database of lots of job packs gives you a more strategic overview of who employs computer scientists, what it is that they do, and what someone might need to do in order to join their ranks. Plus it also gives you information about seniority of role and pay scales, etc. So if you're talking to school students or university students or anyone about careers in computing, I hope you might find this useful. I tend to think of it as something like a pack of cards from which you might select a few examples and showcase those, or just give them the link and tell them to have a rummage. I hope somebody finds it useful.